So that's their reason for seeking knowledge. So what did we learn? Knowledge is not there to be sought to defeat people. No. Knowledge is there so that the actions that we do help us to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not for me to say, Ya Khalid, I know more than you, or Ya Muhammad, I know more than you. No, this is not the reason. So the Shaykh, he brings the first and the most foremost thing is that the sincerity in seeking this knowledge for Allah's and for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake only. And the Shaykh goes on to say, this is sin. Seeking knowledge is an act of worship. And the angels, as stated in the authentic hadith, lower their wings for the seeker of knowledge out of contentment for what he is doing. So this act of worship must be done sincerely for Allah's sake in order for it to be accepted and blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This means that one should not seek knowledge to achieve some worldly position. One should not seek knowledge, religious knowledge, the knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah for the sake of status or to be heard. So that's the first thing the Shaykh goes on to say. So he clarifies by explaining the sincerity. He says, so therefore being sincere in seeking knowledge means, one, that one's intention is for the sake of Allah and not to attain some worldly position. And secondly, one intends to remove ignorance from himself. Imam Ahmad was once asked, how should one have sincerity with regards to knowledge? He replied saying, sincerity in knowledge is that a person intends to uplift ignorance from himself. This is since a person with knowledge and a person that is ignorant is not equal. And Allah Ta'ala goes on to say in the Quran, is one who is obedient to Allah, prostrating himself and standing in prayer during the hours of the night, fearing the hereafter and hoping for the mercy of his Lord, like the one who disbelieves? Say no. Say, are those who know equal to those who do not know? And Allah Ta'ala goes on to say in another ayah, Allah will raise those who believe amongst you and those who were given knowledge in many levels. So the first characteristic that we should have to remove us from speaking about Allah and His deen without any knowledge is to be sincere. The first thing we have to do is correct our intentions and make sure that the reason why we are seeking this knowledge is to remove the ignorance from myself. And I know many brothers, alhamdulillah, who come onto the deen, mashallah, the zeal, the blood is still hot. And, they get out, they read something, and the first thing they want to do is go and shout from the rooftops and ram what they have just learnt down someone's throat. It's the first thing they do. I'm not criticizing it, I'm just giving you an example. So the brother or the sister, she comes on the deen, alhamdulillah. And the zeal and the blood is still boiling. Alhamdulillah, Allah has guided me, alhamdulillah. So they learn a hadith. They don't know whether the hadith has another hadith that abrogates it, or if that hadith is sahih, or da'if, or where it's come from, but they just know this hadith. So what do? The first thing, they go to their brothers and their sisters and their mothers and their fathers and they start ramming this hadith down their throat, out of context. And then what happens is, the parents, or the family, or the friends, they go, you're radicalized, you're just radical, you people. And you're surprised. Subhanallah, I'm giving you the truth, what's wrong with you? And the answer to that, and the Shaykh will give us, is knowledge is not just one hadith or two hadith or three hadith, one ayah. Alif Lam Mim, therefore you now have knowledge. But no. Is gathering the evidences together in their context under the guidance of those who have preceded us. This is knowledge. So we should be careful that we don't open up our Sahih Bukharis. We read one hadith and then we ram it down people's throats. Yeah? So you have to keep the zeal, but channel the zeal towards more learning. Because what you've done is, if you were to break ignorance into 100 parts, you probably just removed 0.0001% of your ignorance from where you started. So, contain that zeal and use it in a way that is beneficial. And what is that way? Go and seek more knowledge. Otherwise, what you'll end up doing is you start repelling the people away from you. Why? Because you're half-baked, and then shaitan will come to you, because someone will say, the Prophet ﷺ said, it's permissible for you to pray with your shoes on. And then someone will say, yeah, but in the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says, that when Musa alayhi salam went to the mountain, that Allah Ta'ala said to him to remove his shoes. So you think, subhanallah, I didn't know this. So shaitan comes to you and says, well look, just say this. Just say this, he won't know. He won't know. Yeah, but in those days, those shoes were made of, they weren't very good in those days. They weren't made very well, so we didn't know what was on it, that's why. Yeah? This is how it starts. This is how it starts. So then, the Prophet goes, come on, Akhi, what are you talking about? It was clean. No, but it wasn't in those days. Because I know. How do you know? Well, I know. So what happens? Where has the debate gone? Where is the discussion? Where is the da'wah gone? Into what type of shoes they were? As opposed to the issue of, the answer is, of course, the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith that if Musa and Isa were here, they would have no choice but to follow me. That's the answer. That the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ abrogates all other sunnahs. But you see, I have seen this so many times. Half-baked, and we go straight in. I'm going to give da'wah on what I don't know yet. If you ask him to narrate it in Arabic, he can't do it. Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah, he said, the Arabic is the miftah of the deen. That which leads to halal is also halal. That which leads to wajib is also wajib. Yani the language. And this first point of sincerity goes back to the famous hadith of Umar ibn Khattab, where it says, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَىٰ. That every action is by its intention, and you will get that which you intend. And this hadith is a famous hadith, and you find many of the scholars, they start their books with this hadith. So the second point is that one must apply gentleness, the Shaykh says. One must apply gentleness and proceed in a slow, calm manner in his search for knowledge. This is since the Prophet ﷺ informed us in general terms, saying, verily Allah loves gentleness in every affair. So the Shaykh, he says, therefore seeking knowledge falls under this in the general sense. The Prophet ﷺ also said, gentleness does not enter something except that it beautifies it. Subhanallah. So therefore knowledge, the Shaykh says, knowledge and studying, the Shaykh has connected the two. So knowledge and studying falls into this category. So the Shaykh, he goes on to explain, subhanallah, what does it mean to apply gentleness? It means that one should not seek to achieve knowledge all at once. As one of the Imams of the Tabi'een once said, whoever seeks to attain knowledge in one shot will leave from it will leave from him in one shot. Rather, knowledge is sought with the passage of days and nights. Yani, if you want to know about tafsir,